Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Joe Thomas, your Hall of Fame left tackle from the Cleveland Browns, and this is the Dawgs Only podcast. Today, I'm going to be talking to Wyatt Teller and Joel Bitonio, the world's favorite offensive guards in all of pro football.
Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame.
Cool. Well, let's just keep talking about food as long as we're rolling. We're good. Good. That's what all fat guys want to talk about.
We were excited for it all day.
Yeah.
We were really looking forward to it.
Yeah, so one of my favorite things when I was playing on the O-line was the amazing dinners that we'd come together and have. And when I was a rookie, it was like every week. But then as you get old and you have kids and stuff, it's not as frequent because mama wants you home to help with the kiddos. But one of the cool things about coming out here for joint practices for you guys is you get a chance to get together. You get a little bit more free time maybe than you do when you were in Berea for training camp. So you guys had a good O-line dinner last night. What were the highlights?
Yeah, we went to Del Frisco's Double Eagle, which it kind of gave me Marble Room vibes if you ever been there in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Like we were in a vault down there. They took care of us. It was a traditional steakhouse. They had a lot of good things on the menu, but they had these Philly cheesesteak dumplings that were phenomenal. Like I was dreaming about them. I look at the menu and I was like, fat guy thing. Like just like 2 days out, I'm looking at the menu what I'm going to order for dinner in 2 days. And I was like, I saw those. I'm like, we need to order those. I think those were great. And a butter cake at the end of the night was.
The butter cake's undefeated.
Yeah.
I love going for those butter cakes, like at the end of a nice steakhouse dinner. You don't want it, you don't need it. You're already in a lot of pain with a lot of indigestion, but you can't say no to something so tasty.
Yeah, there were some really good steaks there. So it was a good time. It was a good time just hanging out with the boys, and like you said, we get away for a little bit, so we all get to get together, and it's nice.
So as much as you guys like to eat and you're good chefs, you're also good athletes. And I don't think our guards on the Browns get enough credit for the type of athletes you are. You were second at the combine, I think, among all offensive linemen with broad jump. You had a great combine showing off your athleticism with the 3-cone drill, and you've been doing that your entire career. Joel, there was a little birdie that told me you may have won a game of knockout down here in Philadelphia when Coach Stefanski took you guys all to the University of Penn, I think this week. We're still down here in Philly right now during the joint practices, getting ready for the game. So tell us a little bit about what happened that allowed you to beat the entire Browns team in a game of knockout.
Well, I was kind of shooting on the side. Like I didn't know how intense it was going to get, so I was warming up a little bit. And then I jumped in one of the games and I was like, all right. Like my competitive juices started rolling. Yeah. My flashbacks to high school, like 50 pounds lighter, a little bit more nimble. So I didn't win the first 2 games, and then I was just in it, and I started making some shots. I think knockout, the key is how quick you can hustle for the rebound. So I was getting the hustle, rebound, layup, putback. Miles was out there like wasting his energy trying to like pretend dunk, every time.
We weren't allowed to dunk. We weren't allowed to dunk.
I'm like touching the backboard, what I mean? But getting my layups in, and honestly, I probably should have lost. I was the first shooter with the last 2 guys, but he just kept missing his shot. So I finally got the ball back one time and it hit one at the top of the key. I was just pumped. I put on for the big boys, People like, linemen and stuff, but we had a win in there, So I had some flashbacks to some high school basketball days there.
And you were a great high school basketball player. 14 points and 12 rebounds, I believe, was the average. No big deal. I mean, that's solid at any level.
Yeah, I was a double guy. We played in a competitive league. I had better players on our team. I just tried to do my role. Rebound, offensive rebound, some post moves, some kickouts, repost, all that fun stuff. But I played travel basketball, from like 5th grade, really through high school, So I loved it. And then I went to nationals, I think, when I was like 12 or 13, and I realized like, I'm probably not going to play basketball.
You realized I'm not 7 feet tall and run like a gazelle?
Yeah, so I was like, maybe I'll do it in high school because I really enjoyed playing basketball. But, I knew football is probably my calling to keep playing sports.
What age did you realize that it was going to be football, not basketball?
I honestly think I probably still had a glimmer of hope before I went to high school. But I think once I got to high school, I was like, all right, I'm like a 5'11", center right now on the freshman basketball team. So this is probably not going to work out unless I grow a foot. Yeah. But I was good with it. I still had fun and really, honestly, my high school basketball team was way better than my high school football team, like wins-loss wise. So it was always fun to, go from like 3-7 on the football field and compete and go to the playoffs in basketball.
One of the things that we love to tease you about when you were a youngster here, and I was one of the old men in the O-line room, was the fact that you used to dominate Kawhi Leonard when you were in high school. That was the narrative that the Browns media was pushing to everybody. So once and for all, can you set the record straight? What happened when you and DeMar DeRozan and Kawhi Leonard would face up on the hardwood floor?
DeMar DeRozan was in our league. He played for Compton High School. I went to Long Beach Wilson. I don't think we beat him in my high school career.
But you locked him up, right?
No. I don't know how this rumor got started. Well, I do know how this rumor got started. There was an article that went out that maybe embellished my stats / performance against some of these players, in my life. I did score a couple baskets on Kawhi Leonard. We lost the game. He was my last high school game ever. We were playing in the playoffs. They had the number 1 team in the state in California, which is pretty impressive. They had Tony Snell, Kawhi Leonard, and a couple other D1 guys. Both those guys played in the NBA. So it was a tough matchup, but he was in foul trouble all game. And so
he was following you. They were there playing hack-a-shack on Joel.
Yeah.
They were worried about you taking the game over.
He was actually guarding our best player, and then they switched him onto me after he got. And then I got the ball in the post a couple times, and I'm like, he's not really guarding me. Like I'm gonna go at him, and so I scored like 2 baskets, and then they kind of moved around.
Yep.
But no, I mean there was some great competition. DeMar DeRozan probably had like 6 or 7 dunks a game in high school. Like I remember one time it was a high pick and roll, and they had a 7-foot center too. So they were really good. And I jumped out to hedge the screen, and he just crossed over so aggressively. And I was like, I don't quite have the lateral speed to stay. One dribble down the lane and just posterized our point guard. And I remember after the game, my coach was like, Joel, you got to cut that off. And I was like, I'm going to try to, but I don't think I have that in my back. Like that might not be my, ability. But no, there was some really good. Klay Thompson was he was in that area too. He ended up playing, I think, against Kawhi in the finals. So there are some really good, talented basketball players out there.
Talent pool.
14 points a game. You had to have the green light out to the 3-point line, right? Like where did your coach allow you to let the ball rip from?
So my junior year, I was definitely more of a role player. Like there was another big man that we would rotate, so it would just be like us. I'd play 3 or 4 minutes, get tired, go to the bench, come back in and play. And then my senior year, I was probably our number 2 option on offense. We had a guy go to East Europe, and so he was a good basketball player. And that year, I would say I made, I can't remember exactly, but 5 to 10 3-pointers. That trailer 3, I wasn't looking for it, but occasionally I hit one. My last shot of my high school career playing it, we're down by 10. I caught one halfway to half court, and I just threw one up, and I made it. So we lost the game by 7 points or whatever to those, but my last shot was a made 3.
There we go.
So I have a little bit of range. I showed it yesterday in knockout,
Great shot.
But I would say majority of my points are offensive rebounds, quick post-ups, maybe up and under, below the rim game.
Yeah, the details of your last high school game and shot are impressive. You could tell how important it was to you, right? How many times he's told that story about going against Kawhi Leonard and nailing a 3 is his last time walking off the high school basketball hardwood. I know all about your basketball prowess. It's very impressive. But Wyatt, we never played together. So I'm curious what type of a high school athlete you were. Was it just football? Did you have a chance to play some other sports? Did you have some other passions?
Yeah, so I grew up playing football my entire life, but my actual first sport was swimming. Oh. So my freshman year, surprising. My freshman year, my sister tricked me into getting onto the swim team. She said, I should just do it, I think I was just going to, maybe do basketball or something like that, which I ended up doing basketball later on in high school. But baseball also was, I always played baseball. I wanted to be like my brother. I wasn't half as good as him. But he always likes to say he wasn't even an eighth as good as me at football. So, it was, I always grew up playing sports. My mom was a physical education teacher, so gym coach. And she, you gotta say it right. But, so she always instilled that, but she, as a teacher, she also instilled sports matter, but your academics matter more. So she would always, incentivize playing or, whenever she had to pay for a sport or something like that, she'd be like, you have B's, you have C's, you need to make some A's. So, school was always very important, but, growing up, I wrestled when I was younger, which, I don't think I was very good at. I think, I wasn't bad at, but I think I was in 4th grade, I started wrestling with 6th graders. That 2 years in wrestling is a lot. So I started losing a little bit, and I didn't like that. But I was always competitive. Where I grew up, it was kind of a small town. So, a little bit bigger than my wife's town, but still a small town. So, if you didn't play 2 sports or 3 sports, that was just different. in Long Beach, it's probably a little different. The talent pool was absolutely crazy, but in Fauquier County, there wasn't the same amount of talent.
Was your Speedo your favorite uniform you ever wore?
Never wore a Speedo. Jammers or the leggings. If you see like swimmers nowadays,
yeah.
The bodysuit.
The bodysuit.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't that serious.
I would actually like to see a race here because Joe Thomas, pretty good swimmer.
I've seen it.
I'm okay. I'm okay.
pretty
And I'm curious how good you were at swimming because, like,
So-
anybody can sign up for the swim team, but were you winning meets and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I usually place first or second in
Wow.
whatever I swim in. By the time that I
First day
did
training.
yeah, by the time I know it. By the time that I finished our first meet, they put me in the craziest things because growing up swimming, not everybody knows breaststroke, not everybody knows backstroke. Some people don't
Yeah.
trust it. So by the 200 IM, I think I had regional times first meet, regional times in almost everything I swam.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so
Then you gained some weight.
and then I
Yeah.
gained a little bit of weight. They
Well,
were like,
sometimes more buoyancy can help.
yeah, and it just sunk when I tried to jump in there later. But it was by sophomore year. I don't even think by the baseball was about to start.
Okay.
So the regional times, I was like, this is just a fun time. I'm not taking it too serious. I wanted to do the 50 meter freestyle. Because I've been a sprinter my entire life, and they always put me in the long distance stuff. I'm not a long distance guy, even though I was doing well at it. I wanted to. I think that I could have got a state time in 50 free, but we had to. They kind of have to give that to the kids that don't know as much because kind of participation.
Safety.
And
They don't
safety.
want
They
those
don't want
guys that
anybody
don't
to
know how to
drown.
swim in the half mile.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that it was a little bit of safety precaution, but I asked the swim coach if I could move to 50 meter free, and they said no. And I was like, all right, well, I want to go. If I want to have state times, I'm not going to states. I'm not going to regional. I'm not going to districts. I just want to do it. So they ended up not. Baseball was the next week, and I ended up not finished the season, but I think we had the state and regional times that I didn't even act upon, but it was cool. And then baseball, like I said, I always did it. I wanted to be like my brother, and then I wasn't very good at it. I think I averaged like a 350 batting average, which isn't bad, but I mean you're not going to college on that.
Yeah, 350 in high school is like 050.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
college.
Yeah, but it was it ended up it was fun. Played baseball my first 2 years, and then our football coach was like, "Hey, it's time to start focusing on football." So I said, "Yes, sir."
Yeah.
And I just my senior year I wanted to be a 3-sport athlete, just because I knew that I was going to be playing football. Basketball and baseball probably had passed in my life, so I went and played. I do remember my last baseball game and my last basketball game. Basketball wasn't as eventful as yours, but baseball I had a walk-off double, or I think it might have been a walk-off single that brought the guy in from third.
Okay.
So we tied for districts for the first time since my brother was at the same high school, so he was 11 years older than me. So
Okay.
it was a big deal, but again, my brother would have probably sent that over the fence.
Yeah. Did they have a parade for you in the hometown where
No,
they took you on the
no.
fire engine from
It was a
winning the
tie.
district?
It was a
Oh,
tie
You
for
tied the
districts.
district, so they had a
so
parade for you.
it
That was
wasn't as
awesome.
cool.
We
Congratulations.
had great last games that don't matter.
No matter yeah.
And so that game that you nailed that game winner. Oh, you lost. It wasn't a game winner. It was so you could lose by less than double digits. Congratulations. That's awesome. So you guys obviously had a broad background in sports growing up, but football ended up being your love. Obviously, part of it is because that's what you're really good at. That's what God says, hey, you're going to be 300 pounds. You're probably not going to do a whole lot of other stuff. But was there a point in college that you realized, like, hey, I might be good enough at this to be able to go and play at the next level?
Yeah, no, I mean, for me, I was highly recruited out of high school, so I, blessed in that degree. But when I got to college, they were like, oh, you're gonna play defensive line. You're gonna play defensive line. And about 2 months in, I didn't play defensive line. They knew what they were doing, but it ended up being the best thing for me. I have guys who were much better athletes who didn't really get that opportunity. One had an injury. My best friend Vinny Mahota, he was a great player, but he had knee injuries, and he was faster than me, smarter than me, and stronger than me. And by the time that we left college, I was thankful that I moved to offensive line and I found that niche. Little mauler off the left side. I never played tackle like Joel. Joel's an athlete, and I was stuck inside, but it was a blessing. And I'd probably say after my sophomore, maybe my redshirt sophomore year, I realized that I was good at what I was doing, but I still didn't really believe. It just you don't really think about it. Oh, the future. You're just so focused on the moment. day by day. So, it wasn't until like my junior year that I really realized that, I could play this at the next level. And then my senior year, I had kind of a downturn in play, picked it up towards the end of the season, but, ended up getting drafted third day. Unlike you guys were pretty good, but I had to wait. I needed all 5 years, and I needed all 3 days to be drafted. It worked out.
So you started out on the defensive side of the ball.
DNs, yeah.
I think that's a tale as old as time, right? You recruit the big white.
Yes,
deep
exactly,
tackle, and
yeah.
then 2 weeks into camp, it's like, hey, we need some help on the offensive line over here.
We had offensive line coach Bob Wiley, and he always said that the offensive line is the last bus stop on the bus line, because after that you're going to be coaching, because there's no other positions that take less athleticism and less talent than the offensive line. And typically it starts out as tackle, and if you can't do that, they move you to guard, and if you can't do that, they move you to center, and from there they move you to coach and quality control. So Joel obviously played tackle at Nevada. Or Nevada, depending on how you say it, if you're from Wisconsin.
I tend to correct people on Nevada.
I love it.
Wyatt says
I say it right now.
He
I
says
said,
it the wrong
it's
way.
Appalachian, right? So if someone said Appalachian, you'd
It's
the same thing. It's the same
That's
thing.
good.
I think it's a running joke.
Yeah.
So Joel, when did you know that you were probably going to move to guard at the next level?
It was tough when I was going to the Senior Bowl. So I played right. We had a weird offense, but I 1 year in college we like strong side, weak side. So I played right.
Oh man,
So
like you
couldn't even
remember
get
the
in
Titans?
Yes, yes,
Awesome,
So,
Joel.
but I played right, I played left, so I had some experience at everything. I went to the Senior Bowl and they're like, "Hey, we want to get you some reps at guard." So at that point, I was kind of like, "All right, they want that." And then like our tackles got hurt, so I ended up playing left tackle the whole Senior Bowl, and I was like, "Oh, I did pretty good. We'll see how this turns out." And then I get drafted to the Cleveland Browns, and they happen to have a left tackle that's already kind of played a lot and a right tackle.
Pretty good left tackle.
Yeah, pretty good left tackle. And they're like, "Yeah, you're probably going to play guard for us." And I was like, "I can do that. I'll learn that." And I got to play, obviously, between you and Mac, and that was kind of the position that I got worked into. So I didn't really know. I think there was a few teams that might have given me a chance out at tackle. But I think it worked out really well. I think I fit, the 6'4", not the longest arms, and stuff like that. So I think I fit well at guard, and it worked out well for me.
It's obviously worked out well for both you guys. But Joel, you were a second-round pick for the Browns, right at the top there. Why you took a little bit longer route to get to the Browns? You were drafted by Buffalo. We said 5th round,
5th round.
and then after starting some games your rookie year, you get traded to the Browns. What was that emotion like after having some success there as a rookie, as a later round pick, and then being dealt immediately right after that year?
Yeah, no, it was weird. When I came in, I think a couple weeks before the draft, they had Eric Wood, who, they kind of knew that Eric Wood was going to be playing. He had a neck injury. I think he was on year 8 or 9. And then Rich Incognito, year 13, he just finished his 13th year. They didn't know that he wasn't going to be playing until about a week or two before, I got drafted. So that wasn't on their plan, but they kind of got me as a depth pick. So when I first got there, I was like, oh, Richie, I'm following 23 years of interior talent. It's going to be awesome. And then all of a sudden that changed. They were both retired, and it was definitely tough to Eric was always around, but and a great guy, but so I got to talk to him a little bit, but he wasn't playing, so I didn't get to really see his his work or anything like that. But absolute great guy. And Richie, I never got to really meet Richie, but everything I've heard about him, intense. The way he worked out, the way he trained was unbeatable. So respect to that. And then I'd watch that and try to emulate the last stuff. That's really hard. Year 13, your technique, your fundamentals. So it was a little weird. I think I started by game 9, so I think I had 7 starts my first year. And it was definitely rough. We didn't have the season. They went from playoffs the year before. New quarterback, new middle linebacker, so it was a little bit of adjustment. And I, just to be honest, didn't put my best play out there. Ended up getting traded after camp the next year. But I thank God for that every day, because it brought me to somewhere where maybe I wasn't not valued, but just like they knew that I had a price that they could get draft picks or something like that. And the Browns went to a team that really wanted me, and I'm blessed for that. And then I think I started 9 games the next year, and then a full season the next year, and then full season from there on out.
Bill Callahan, the offensive line coach here in Cleveland with you guys, one of the most respected O-line coaches in the NFL. What's it like being coached by Bill every day?
Yeah, it's hard some days more than others. He's a great coach. He's extremely smart. He's extremely talented at what he does. He's done it for so long. His experience speaks for itself. And his ability to teach pretty complex techniques in a kind of elementary way is what makes him so good. He can take a guy. I think in the year before he came to Cleveland, I think he had like something like 50 to 60 different combination of offensive linemen, including guys that weren't playing the week before and came out and started for him. So it shows that his ability to get guys ready is amazing. So he's a great coach, and I'm blessed to have him.
Scotty Peters is the offensive line assistant. He was a guy that hung around before he was the coach here when Bob Wiley was around. So I got a chance to listen to some of his thoughts on the O-line play. And he was always a very different thinker as far as your technique goes. Very ahead of his time for O-line coaches. What does he bring to that unit? What does he bring to that room from the offensive line coach standpoint?
Yeah, I think his, the technical side of things. And like you said, I knew him like 3 or 4 years before he got hired, and we went through some things. And to be honest, I was a little unsure. I was like, I don't know, this doesn't seem, like it works. But he's always like crafting his techniques year after year. Like we change different strikes and stuff, but he has such a good understanding of the body and leverage that he shows the way, like, hey, playing long, independent hand strikes, recovery, which is like one of the biggest things. I always tell people, like, Joe Thomas's ability to recover. He wasn't always in the perfect position, but he had this uncanny ability to recover, and like he does a lot of things with that as well. And so to match them together, with Coach Callahan and the scheme, and then him with the technique and the pass pro, and really trying different things. I never was a huge jump setter. They get here and they want us to jump a lot more, and so I've learned to incorporate that type of stuff in my game. But just having that guy, and he's fun because he gets out there with the guys, and he's probably one of the stronger guys. Like he doesn't wear cleats or anything.
Tennis
And he
shoes
just
on
like
the field.
will drive us and stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Scotty, like this is unbelievable. And he kind of runs a little bit like you. He's like people think he's Joe Thomas a lot. Like they're like Joe Thomas. And he's like, come on, Joe. Maybe he's both jacked.
Yeah, exactly. He has veins running down his shoulders and arms, and like
spells the wart in his bicep.
What is that?
That's awesome having him around and being able to give you just different ways to skin the cat, right? I always said that there's a lot of good offensive linemen out there, and none of them do it the same way. And so I think having different perspectives is so important to be able to teach a big group of guys, because not everybody's going to be able to do it the same way. You got to find your own method, I've always thought. And, when Joel was a young left guard, we'd give him tips and stuff, but his body was just built differently. So it took him a little while to figure out what worked perfect for him. I mean, his ankles don't bend. They're completely welded together. So he's going to play on his toes, but that's all right. Like, you got to find what works for you. And this year, a lot has been made this offseason about this is Deshaun's offense. This is what he's comfortable with. Him and Stefanski spent a lot of time together putting together an offense that works for him versus last year where it was kind of Kevin's offense with a stack of plays that Deshaun did well. So from your guys' perspective, how do you think this offense has evolved, and what do you think is going to be different about it? What are you guys going to emphasize that you didn't last season?
Yeah, last year I think was a little weird. He came in, we had every intention that he was, going to play early. Ended up not playing early. Game 11 was when he came back, so it was like we kind of made a little transition with the quarterback. We did, personnel, stuff like that. So it's just a little bit different. This year we have a full off season with him as our in the helm. So I'm blessed for that. We're thankful that we can really work the plays that we're going to be playing. Last year it'd be like we did all these different personnels and plays with Deshaun, and all of a sudden we got Jacoby, and it was run the damn ball, and it was nice. And then Jacoby, he played great, and then Deshaun came back, and it was just a little bit different of a play style. You got to stay in front of your block because you don't know if he's going to be going out the B gap or the A gap. Jacoby, he would sit right there for as long as he could, and then throw the ball. And he was tough. He also sold the late hits really well. So
you have the LeBron in him.
Yeah.
Learn from the best.
Yeah, but he was great, and reminds me, just speaking of him as a guy, I remember one day after a press conference, we ended up winning the game, and he was wearing a Joel, the NFL things.
NFL Jam.
And it had Joel and me.
Wyatt.
Yeah,
I love that one.
So as a quarterback,
I've worn that a few times to practice.
yes. And as a quarterback, to supporting your guys like that,
Yeah.
he's a great guy.
That's got to feel pretty good.
Yeah.
What's different blocking for Deshaun versus like Jacoby? Like, what makes it difficult having a guy that you don't know where he's going to escape? Because I never really played for a true scrambling quarterback like that, where you have no idea where they're going to be outside of 2-3 seconds into the shot clock.
I think, especially for tackles, like knowing the depth of the pocket, like how far back someone drops and how you can, vary your sets and stuff like that. Also knowing when you got to get a feel for when he scrambles. So like last year, I definitely got called for holding once where I was like, I had my guy locked up, and then Deshaun runs out of the pocket and you just like don't let go quick enough. So I think getting that feeling of like, all right, my guy's going that way, not towards the quarterback, I can let him go here. Getting an understanding of that, just having a little bit more of those quarterback runs in the playbook, where it's gonna open things up though. But you see a team like, we just practiced against the Eagles, and they have so many RPOs and things that are working in this league. And I think having a guy like Deshaun can add those into the playbook. So it's really just getting to feel the timing, the depth of the pocket, really understanding, what he does well. And I think we've learned that, you always think it block forever, but with Deshaun, it's like he wants to make the big play. You know what I mean? So he'll hold on that ball, and he's pretty strong in that pocket though. You saw the other night, he take a hit and he can still get out of there. So it's one of those things where we're just learning each other.
Yeah. And then you have to run after the play because he's trying to, run 40 yards downfield. Don't anybody hit him, Making sure you're the first one there to pick him up.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun for us fans being right here on the cusp of the start of the season to be able to have that quarterback that you feel like can make those big, explosive, game-changing plays at any moment. And you're going to have them for the entire season. So I'm curious for you guys, being that you've been grinding in training camp for a little bit of a while, though, here. Was there something that you did this summer or maybe in the offseason to help kind of recharge your batteries as you guys are getting ready for the grind of a football season?
Yeah, no, there was definitely, I had a baby, so, I had definitely time that focused on him, but, also like, training a little differently, instead of just lifting 600 pounds over your head, squatting 600 pounds, you're doing conditioning while also lifting weights, Zercher carry, stuff like that, where it's like, we're going to be moving, so we gotta be ready to go. When I came in, I think our DEXAs were low as an offensive line, which is good. It means that we're, burning the fat off and getting ready to go.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Joel?
I enjoyed a lot of golf. So, obviously I have two young kids.
Great golfer.
I wouldn't say great, but I appreciate that, Wyatt. No,
Great.
no, we, I spent some time in California with the family. Most of my family's out there, but the kids, you understand, like kids running around. We visited Wisconsin, so I got to see, the Zeitlers, out in Wisconsin.
The Palace up there, northern Wisconsin.
And that was my first experience up there besides playing, in Green Bay, so that was fun. But really, for me now, it's getting away, spending the time with the family because, in season, it's a little bit more, but I kind of know where my body's at now, so it's like I could train, I do all the work, but me and Courtney have picked up golf, and I'm trying to play a bunch. I was shooting in the 80s this year most of the time, so I'm feeling better. Hopefully when I lose some weight, get some more rotation. And I think my ankle mobility has improved. I'm bringing that up. I don't play on my toes as much as I did as a rookie. I still do play on my toes though. There's nothing.
But he's fast. It's unbelievable.
I know you got to have stiff ankles to be fast. And, you check that box. There's no doubt about that. I see you've got a Lakewood Country Club hat on. Why do you like to get out on the golf course and swing the sticks?
Yeah. So I'm not as good as Joel, so I don't spend as much time on the golf course. But we did actually get to go out and play, and anytime that Joel was in the sand, it was amazing. His ability to get out and get it.
So you're saying he was on the sand a lot?
Not a lot. I'm just saying whenever he was. Some people say you lay up, and he just absolutely was going.
I've never said that Joel lays up, but anything in his life.
Right. But it was impressive, watching him play, and I think there was a couple holes there where I was just putting out of my mind. And
it was impressive. I think he had like 10 straight one putts, and I was like, it wasn't maybe pretty getting to the green, but he was making every putt. So
it really
we've been a good scramble team. Then.
Yes.
So you took all of his money, is what you're trying to tell me. I'm happy to hear that. Hopefully that you guys bought a few dinners for each other here in training camp and made sure to return the favor for all those beautiful 18-hole rounds that you
Yes.
bought for each other. Let's finish up with a little bit of rapid fire questions because everybody loves the rapid fire question. And this can be anybody on the team.
Oh, okay.
So it doesn't have to just be present company here. So who is the most likely to dance at a club?
John Kelly.
Yeah, John Kelly.
He's a good dancer. Does he like to show off in the
I feel like he's
lines?
always dancing. You know what I mean? That was the first name that popped in my head. I don't know. why.
Dewan can dance a little bit. He's always listening to music. He's always got his headphones
Big
on.
fella's got twinkle toes.
DPJ might be the best dancer.
Really?
I don't know
I
if he
agree.
danced at a club, but
Okay.
he could definitely dance.
We had a Halloween party a couple years
Yeah,
ago.
that's what I was
He
thinking
was
of.
unbelievable.
Really?
Yeah, he thought I had no absolutely not.
We got to get some video of that. That'd be amazing. All right. Who's the most likely to pick up a check at dinner?
Jack, Joel. I mean,
yeah.
when it comes to offensive line,
Yeah, we have a pretty good rotation. We have like a bunch of older guys.
You got a lot of rich guys.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying. Like, nobody minds picking
Yeah.
up
So
dinner.
last night, it was
just a rounding error.
Never, Jed. Come
Jed
on,
will
man.
never.
Yeah, we got to get Jed going a little
right.
bit. But no, Greenbrier, I picked it up last night. Jack and Wyatt picked it up. So we have a good little system
Yeah.
going.
And no one ever, argues with it. It's like, hey, you picking up the got it.
Yeah. So, Jed, you owe us dinner, and I'm coming this time.
Jed, come on.
Who's the most likely to be an NFL coach?
Joel Bitonio.
No.
On the whole team?
Yeah, on the whole team.
Team?
Joel's going to be golfing too much.
Yeah.
He doesn't have
that's
time
good.
for that.
That's a good point.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go, I think Dawgs. Has the
Dawgs,
mind to
yeah.
do it,
That's a good
But he
one.
might want to do, his Astro stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's pretty smart. I think that Ethan Posick, he's a really intelligent guy. Nick Harris, I feel like Nick
I could
Harris
see
could
Poe
do
being like high school, like football coach. You know what I
He
mean?
just
Back
loves
in
it. Loving the
Louisiana, just
game.
loves the game.
Yeah.
Wants to be around the guys.
Yeah, I like that. Who's got the dirtiest locker? Who's the
talk
biggest
about this-
slob?
We talk about this all the time. There's guys who might have a dirty locker, but they keep everything in their locker, right?
Uh-huh.
And there's people who don't do that as much. I'm not going to get.
Oh,
Well, you can name names.
Yeah,
Nobody listens
Jeremiah.
to this podcast. So, Jeremiah.
J.O.K.
What's crazy
Well,
is
their
JOK
stuff
and
is
Miles are right
halfway
next
to
to
the
each
middle of the
Corner,
locker room.
corner.
I catch myself walking by their lockers all the time, picking up like trash. I'm like, what are you guys?
I have a lot of clothes because I have a lot of years, so my locker looks like it's like messy, but it's all clean clothes just piled up. You know?
He knows where everything is, though. It's big. Hey, do you know where that shirt is? Pulls it right out. Yeah, that's amazing.
Does Joel have a favorite shirt? Is there like that one go-to shirt that he just wears every day?
Every year, you kind of have like a different shirt.
Whatever one fit. Okay.
Whatever.
I love
makes
this one,
your
guys.
guns look good.
Yeah. Well, I don't have great guns.
You know,
The dryers at the facility, I believe, shrink some shirts. I'm not gaining weight. I know that. So
No,
yeah.
Sure, of course not. I've never weighed myself
It's been
since
consistent.
last fall.
But I do have this hoodie from my rookie year that the sleeves are cut off. That if I'm doing a big arm pump, I'll throw
Okay.
that on. You know what I
Nice.
mean? Just
I like
it's only once or twice, you know, a camp or something like that. But that's my go-to probably.
Yeah, I noticed the sweatshirts after a couple washes, they start getting a little tighter. Freaking fat man, like, what's going on? I know it's in season, but come on.
Yes, big guys always have that fat anxiety in the middle of the season.
We're
We're
like-
like, I am weighing myself, but this shirt's getting really tight. I'm going to get in trouble here. They're going to send me to fat camp after
Yes.
practice, and I'm going to have to ride the bike. Last question. I appreciate the time from you guys today. Who's the one person that you would never allow controlling the music in the weight room?
I feel like people have allowed me to, but I know that no one likes the music. I'll put on some country and everybody's like, but they won't say anything,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is nice.
Yeah.
I guess I've earned that respect. But, Jack Conklin, he puts on, this man will put on like EDM. And it's like, are we at a club?
I
or
love
are we
it.
lifting
Oh,
weights?
I love it.
Joseph,
I love it. I love it.
Like what's that? Two Friends? Is that the band that does the Big Booty Mix or something like that?
Yes.
Put that on
on SoundCloud.
Yeah.
The one that had like switches songs.
Oh, yeah.
It's
a
a DJ
DJ mix.
focus. I don't know the focus to be. It's like right when they're about to get to the good part of the song.
It does pressure me because then like that, good song will come on. I'm like, oh, but
Yes.
and it changes. But I'm like the least music guy in the weight room. Like I'm kind of one of the older guys now. They're like, Joel, you got the music, and I'm like, I really don't want that responsibility right now. So I kind of let it flow.
He always turns on Red Hot Chili Peppers. It's crazy.
I do have like a little
got that
like,
Cali
90s
bass.
like
Cali,
funk,
yeah.
Cali vibes is kind of my thing.
What you listen to in those formative years, like middle school, high school, like whatever you listen to, that's what you're going to go back to when you're in your 30s and 40s. Not to say you're old or anything, Joel, but if you do like country in the weight room, but nobody else does, there's some good country EDM mixes on SoundCloud. MC40 is like a DJ group that does mix-ups and mashups with country and electronic, which is really good. So you guys should check that out. I feel like that might be a crowd pleaser.
Yeah, Jelly Rolls come out with some really
Yeah,
good music,
they got
you know?
like some hip hop country crossover that I feel like might appeal to some
Everybody.
Yeah,
Yes.
broader audiences. So
And it's hard when you put on Eric Church and every song's a little slow. And
yeah, you don't want slow in the weight room. That
music-
Morgan
Morgan Wallen does a really
Morgan
good job
Wallen's
of having some good songs.
I'm getting old because we've had the rookies sing for us, do the thing, and I think I'm 1 for like 10 on knowing what the song is. I have no clue what the songs
Let's
are.
just say everybody starts chanting and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh no,
I
I
don't
don't
know
know
the
what's
song.
going on. So I gotta up my music game.
You're back to your crossword puzzle. You're like, all right, you guys tell me when you're done.
have fun.
You're the only one that did crosswords.
Yeah, well, that's for another
sharp, gotta
podcast.
keep it
Gotta
sharp.
keep you sharp and engaged in your crosswords. But I really appreciate you guys coming on the podcast today. Wish you the best of luck the rest of preseason and as we start the season.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, guys.
Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame.
Walter Payton was a warrior, running with beats. You rookies couldn't hold the weight up in one of his cleats. As I creep through the zone, I am known as a monster. The new Larry Zonka, ballin' hard, going bonkers. Somebody need the answer, trying to stop Barry Sanders. Sharks in the game, you just a salamander. Never out of bounds, you running through your town. Keep your head up and rush, we look like Jim Brown.